It's like having a baby. You never feel ready. Right, welcome to this evening Mixed Bag with Stephen Hartley. It is the 17th of December 2020. I've got a few mixed up things for you this evening, including an introduction to a potential contributor, Greg Pithers. That will be coming up. We may do some messing around, but first we're going to do what I want to do most, the interesting bit. We want to have another look at the hormonal system, because this is really, really key to the immune system. This is what we're going to talk about. And interestingly, I was looking to read up something on the hormone system, and then I remembered a website I had made quite a while ago about alternative healing, which you can reach if you want through Astromic, astromic.co.uk. And there you can find links to all my stuff. And one of them is this Heal Self website. And there's an anatomy link. First of all, it talks about the digestive system. And then we get into the hormonal system, endocrine system. Much is unknown about the hormonal system. New hormones are still being found, and many more are expected. The hormones are created by the different endocrine glands for specific parts of the body with specific instructions. They are governed by the pituitary gland at the base of the brain. It decides which hormones to make and by how much. So, new hormones are still being found and many more expected. So, and these hormones govern what I've been saying in my previous videos. They govern your life kind of, because it's kind of a reward system or or non-reward. Hormones rule our daily lives, our energy, hunger, and passions. I mean, if you could control that when you feel like you have loads of energy, right? Can you control that? No, you're just kind of subjected to it, aren't you? But there are probably things that you're doing which lead to you feeling energy less. It's actually your body telling you, no, this isn't the way to go. Hormones rule our daily lives, our energy, hunger, and passions. Their effect on our bodies mustn't be overlooked, especially if we are healing. We need to spend time with people. The closer, the better. Now, this is what are they telling us to do? They're telling us to socially distance. People don't like it, but they weren't exactly able to articulate why. It sounds a bit rubbish, doesn't it? Oh, I want to be near people. But it is part of what we are. If being near people stimulates our hormone production, and that's going to enrich our lives, what are they doing to us by telling us to stay apart? They are doing the absolute opposite, taking the richness out of our lives. And this is just another nail in the coffin, because there doesn't seem to be any other possibility of what they are doing, why they're acting the way they're acting, if they weren't trying to do us in. So what you do with these people will determine what sort of hormones will be produced. A game of rugby would certainly produce a lot of testosterone, whereas having your face painted would produce more estrogen. But as there are countless activities you can do with other people, so are there countless hormones to be produced. So they're not always going to be so obviously masculine or feminine. So a good variety of doing things. It may make sense for a man with obvious effects of too much estrogen to take part in more aggressive activities in favour of testosterone production, or for a woman becoming more masculine to take part in more feminine activities. But on the whole, you do what you feel like doing. Do what you feel like doing, as this will be your body talking to you. Right, exactly. Every individual is going to be different, so we can't just sort of say do this, do that, do that. You have to learn to listen to your body. And that's the thing, if if you're quite old, as we were reading about before, the thyroid gland does go into decay. Basically, it starts to decay, which isn't a good sign. And when you can't hear what your hormones are telling you anymore, then you can't do this. So again, young people should be encouraged to sense what their body is telling them, and we all should. All this could lead to much more than feeling good over long time periods. It could lead to evolution. The location of the endocrine glands are very similar to the chakras, focus points in meditation for achieving enlightenment. And if all are in balance, will we as humans be able to utilize our brain to its full capacity? The pineal gland is very close to the pituitary gland and is known to be essential for extra sensuality, and is also known to be blocked by the fluoride in toothpaste and tap water. So yeah, that was my big thing then. So we did talk about the pineal gland before, but I wanted to focus just quickly on the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland, size of a pen at the base of the brain, governs the other endocrine glands and decides which hormones to make and how many. So you could argue then that the pituitary gland is the governor of everything. If the hormone system governs your actions and in your immune system, and the pituitary gland governs do you know what I mean? Is the pituitary gland right there, right behind, right in the middle of your head, at the base of the brain, the size of a pea. And this is the thing in control. Now, can you control your pituitary gland? Well, it's controlling you. Now then, we want to link this to the immune system. So the immune system is sort of a cross system. It crosses in. It uses one of the organs from the hormone system, the thymus. They've actually left off the thymus on this picture I'm looking at, which is very odd. Back in the days of keeping information away from us, well, no wonder I didn't notice that. They've actually blanked out the thymus. Oh, thank you very much. Why would they do that? But we looked at the thymus before. We had pictures of the thymus. It is the thymus that produces the T cells that attack foreign invaders. So that is your main thing. That's the one that, again, deteriorates. It's at its biggest when you're an adolescent, and then deteriorates in most people. So the immune system is 4 main organs: the bone marrow, which produce all the raw material for the immune system, all the bits of Lego that go up to make the rest of it are made in the bone marrow. Then the thymus, it produces the actual soldiers, if you like, the T cells. And you've got the spleen, which I looked at because I hadn't really looked at it before. it's like a blood filter, like a kidney, but more educated. So it's like the sort of the police force, if you like, where the kidney is just involved in getting bits out of your blood. This is more educated, right? What's actually in here? Let's check this, and we'll detect bad things and kick them out. And then you've got all your lymph nodes. So the lymph system runs sort of parallel with the blood system, but the lymph system carries pus, and the lymph nodes will separate the bad bits and take them out. So that's your immune system. I mean, the immune system is, in a sense, the whole body working together. I mean, we've heard of the holistic viewpoints, and that's what is needed when you're treating the body. You do need to treat it all as one, because it's all working together. Even your skin. And not just that, but the bacteria that we live with, that we coexist with, that is also a very important part, and plays in with your body's defenses. Bacteria within and without. Okay, so now I've got that off my chest, I'm going to play this interview introducing our new contributor, who will be coming soon. Well, we'll be doing something about once, twice a week. It's the plan. Okay. Can you hear that? Shouldn't be able to. And the sound issue sound issue is my fault. I'm a bit quiet, he's a bit loud. It's my fault, didn't do the balancing right, but here we go. And welcome to Free Speech Radio with me, Stephen Hartley. And with me is Gregory J. Pithers, as you can see displayed on that on the box there if you're watching on YouTube. So Greg and I, we chat on Facebook quite a bit. I'm usually telling him not to write such long answers, to which he replies with another.
Much in depth.
Say that again.
I tend to go too much into depth.
He goes into the detail, this man, which is why I like him, and he won't agree with me. If he doesn't agree with me, he says what he thinks, and that's what we like here at Free Speech Radio. Anyway, we're just going to have a chat. I mean, it might not be about 5G. That was something I thought of. But Greg certainly has opinions on things, as I do. And, I mean, let's just, what do you think of the lockdown, Greg?
Crap.
Yep.
I don't know whether I should have been careful there. I'm not sure about language. Is language okay on here? Or
we try not to swear. If one slips out, it's not too bad. But generally, we don't want it too colourful.
That was really the only way I could describe lockdown.
Well, crap is all right. We can say that.
Pointless and a load of rubbish, really. They're making what is it, 67 million people in the UK suffer just because there's a very minimal risk of a fatal cold out there.
Yeah, so you think it's ridiculous as well?
Yeah.
So what would you have done?
I personally think there is something to be said for natural cures and other things like that. What could have helped with slow the spread.
So to rely
Certainly
on our
was a good idea.
Sorry, rely on our natural defences.
Yeah, because if no one gets it, no one's going to build immuneness. The scientists have less people to space their examples on to build vaccinations, so the vaccinations aren't going to be as strong until they've got more people who have actually caught it and lived through it. And with the amount of people who are currently living who have had it,
it's been around
bad,
since,
without panicking.
Sorry, it's been around since 2003, the coronavirus, because SARS was a corona type virus, so was MERS.
And just like we do, it's mutated, and we're not immune to.
Yeah.
It's jumped the speed.
But our immune systems have had some experience of this virus and have already built up some immunity to it.
Yeah. It's like with the Ebola. Some of that have got free, and some people in the UK have had it and had no symptoms whatsoever from it, because their bodies treated it like the flu, what they've got immuneness to.
Well, the people in Africa?
All around the world.
Yeah, it's mainly Africa, isn't it, where it comes from? Yeah. Apparently, that's man-made.
It's
pretty.
It's going into conspiracy theories, but there's a whole likeliness. A lot of the bugs at the moment are man-made. Even some of the mutations are man-made because the pollution from the likes of Chernobyl and previous crimes humans have done to the world by dropping bombs on each other.
Yeah.
In this atmosphere now, we're now exposed to radiation levels everywhere in the world, but we weren't. So is viral bacteria, and they will mutate as well. So theoretically, it is man-made.
So what's that? Viral bacterias?
Not bacteria. The viruses are an organism where we've exposed the whole world to radiation. Every single organism has been slightly changed in this world.
Yeah. So what are you saying?
So one of the reasons there is a high likeliness that people have been experimenting with viruses, trying to make cures, and even made because it's not a natural way of curing a virus. The natural way is to trust our own body's immune systems, no matter how crap they are.
The Zika virus, didn't they make that to try and eradicate malaria or something? And
I'm not 100% sure about researching that one.
I'm pretty sure they launched, because I was, watching YouTube at the time when they were doing this, and they were launching these mosquitoes infected with a certain virus that would make the other mosquitoes sterile or something. And then during that time, that's when the warning came out that people were catching the Zika virus and that pregnant women shouldn't go to the Olympics. It was back when the Olympics was in South America.
I can remember there being restrictions on things, but I don't honestly know the case.
No, fair enough. So you don't remember that one. That was one I remembered.
But generally, most of the ones that have skipped species it's because the way we've either farmed, we've eaten something we shouldn't have eaten, or likewise, nothing and messed up something else because they've not tried to do it the natural way. It's like there is aim for monkeys in an experiment where they were experimenting on monkeys and it jumped the species and then it got out.
Yeah, so you're in agreement with me then. As soon as they start messing with it, they just make it worse.
Yeah. It's like I've got a very strong belief where, as you know, in my family, celiac disease runs.
Yeah.
Which is it's a genetic gene, but it gets triggered by something in life. It doesn't naturally cause any problems until it's been triggered.
Yeah.
And I think that by our reactions to wheat, there's something in modern wheat what triggers us. Because if you look into a wheat field now, you just see fields and fields of the same crop. Every single plant looks the same. They've been that engineered by man.
Yeah.
There's no naturality in them.
That's right, because we used to have so many different varieties of crop. You'd have barley, but you'd have so many different types of barley. And what they've done is gone, basically, we're going to have just one type of barley because it's the best, But then that makes
and
it
one time a week.
vulnerable to disease and things. Yeah.
And most of those crops they've chosen on have been genetically modified somewhere along their past.
Yeah.
Because the thing what triggered my thinking to this situation was I once accidentally had a wheat pizza because the mistake was made between organic and gluten-free. So where I was sent a pizza out, it wasn't a gluten-free pizza like I'd ordered. It was actually an organic wheat pizza. And I took 2 or 3 bites into it until I was informed that it was wheat. And of course, I stopped dead straight in my tracks then because it makes me seriously ill over time.
It's an autoimmune thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but I found, although I did have an autoimmune response because I got the wind and the gas, stereotypical celiac issues, I didn't have any of the severer effects like skin rashes for 4 weeks and having the risk of getting a cold and not being able to shake it off for like 2 or 3 weeks because my immune system's having a bobbly. So it was very interesting on that occasion because it did get me thinking, well, maybe it's not wheat, it's engineered wheat I'm allergic to. Because my body's had no chance to get adjusted to it because it has been engineered to be a super plant.
Yeah, and you're just more sensitive to it than other people. Like, if I've eaten too much bread, sometimes I get a swollen finger joints. Either eating too many croissants or too much pizza. I get a fat thing. Can I say it? Fat finger.
Yeah, I do. I get arthritic joints if I have anything with gluten. It badly affects my joints.
And then I lay off it, and it goes away.
Yeah.
And I know when it's causing. You know, I guess you get to know your own body, don't you? And that's good.
It's as well as once I started to treat my immune system properly and avoid wheat, I found that certain things like certain fruits and stuff became more desirable to me because I was actually digesting them for the first time in my life. Like pineapple is a keen sign because I crave pineapple sometimes, but I don't crave it when I've been glutened because my stomach can't digest it. My body knows it's no good for me, so it doesn't like it.
Oh. The core is good for you. Pineapple core is very high in proteolytic enzymes.
It's a fruit that's very, very good for your body, but it's only I found until I was gluten free, my guts couldn't digest it properly, so I never liked it because the only thing I got from it was a sugar rush and bad digestion the next day because all the acid didn't get digested in my gut like it should do.
Yeah. I've heard the same with pineapple. If you eat too much, it can try and hurt your stomach lining or something.
It can sting when it comes out.
Right. Okay.
It's the simplest way of putting it.
Yeah. What you put in has got to come out.
It's got to come out. If it's not in the body, it will come out the body the same way it went in. And if it's an acidy fruit, acid on your skin is going to burn.
Yeah. So the key thing here is the immune system, our primary and pretty much only defense.
It's like the soul. It's far more complex than what scientists can understand.
I'm actually gonna be talking about it tonight or tomorrow. Next time I do a video. It's very much governed by the hormonal system, the hormone system.
Yeah.
And the thymus is the thing which creates the T cells, which go out and kill stuff. And most people's thymus reaches its peak in adolescence and then begins to degrade over their lifetime. Which is, I just think, when we've got, even before COVID, the health system was in a pretty bad state. You've got this, you've got an immune system we don't understand.
Terribly underfunded.
It attacks itself. It's not underfunded. It gets more money than anything in the country. How can you say it's underfunded?
Or it's misfunded.
It's got agreed. Yeah, I agree with that.
Dogs rather than the actual people on the front line, the ones.
They got 1.3 million people, Greg. You got
Yeah.
1.3 million people working for you. What can you do with 1.3 million people?
You can do a hell of a lot.
What are they doing?
They're struggling is what they're doing
Ticking
because
boxes.
they're not. Yeah.
Well, half of them are off work isolating at the moment. I mean, that
When
clearly.
tax payment, when I can't recall recent tax because, as you know, I'm currently not working, so I'm tax exempt.
Good for you.
But in previous years, I've looked at my tax record when you get the government split down of how they spend the taxes, and it's quite shocking, really, because the papers make out that all the taxes go to benefits and to people who are retired, when that's not the case at all. Majority of the taxes goes on paperwork and administration, and then the police, and then it's retirement, and then benefits.
Terrible.
And then it goes into little sections like local council authorities and things like that. The little extras, the others, is normally marked on the pie chart.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about money. It pisses me off.
Yeah, it's not my favourite
The
thing.
root of all evil.
As little as possible, because the more money you have, the more hassle you have.
Well, the more you think about it as well.
Yeah, and yeah, it leads to all sorts of stress.
Yeah, it does.
Because it led to me losing my last job because I had a breakdown. Part of that was money related. Part of it was my standard of living related.
What are you playing with? You keep banging something.
Oh, I'll stop doing that. I'm playing with my brush.
No, I thought you were making something.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate trait of autism. I twiddle with things.
No, that's all right. Okay.
But yeah.
So, all right. So quickly, we won't spend long on this. What about 5G? Why do people? Because I'm not one who goes along with this. Why were people thinking that 5G? I mean, stupid to say it's the cause of coronavirus. I suppose it was a coincidence at the time.
No.
But why would it even be bad for your health?
Right. Well, first, for causing a virus, there is no sign ever being the case, because a virus is a virus. A small amount of radiation hitting it is not going to do anything different to what it would to us. A smaller amount of radiation. Yeah, if anything, it's gonna screw it up rather than aid it.
Imagine if that ended up being the cure for it. Amp up the power of the 5G blasts.
What? Yeah. Well, again with the coronavirus, there's so many possible cures that we just don't know at the moment.
Sunlight.
It's like my sister was panicking because we're celiacs, that our immune systems are different, that we might be more at risk. But as I said to her, the fear of it will make her iller than the risk.
Yeah.
And also, as well as that, not only that, it's possible that the extra bit of genetics we have, what makes our immune systems, once they've been triggered, create the extra immune antibodies, which is the problem. Because basically it triggers antibodies what attack our body. For all we know, those antibodies might attack this virus, because our immune systems are 1 in 100 different to everybody else's.
Could be a benefit.
My whole theory on the coronavirus is it's being abused at the moment, take away people's liberties.
But it's important for everyone to be positive, because everybody's immune system works better if you're positive about what you're facing. You know, if you feel something coming on and you think, oh, this is going to do me in, then it's more likely to do you in.
Because stress takes down you. If you're seriously stressed, it can seriously affect your immune system. I was really ill, and that was down to the fact that my immune system was also having the wobbly because my brain was giving off all sorts of chemicals because it was depressed.
Yeah. You could potentially.
Which now was tablets to take that away.
Yeah. Good old tablets.
Yeah. A little bit of serotonin didn't harm anybody.
Well, you know, I self-medicate. I believe you do too occasionally.
Yeah, that does for my anxiety. I do definitely. Because there is only one chemical I found, and that's as much as we can really say on the situation.
No, we can talk about cannabis, THC.
Yeah, I personally am pro decriminalisation and regulation of it.
Yeah,
Because
me too.
if that was to happen, I think one, it would stop being a gateway drug, because half of the harder drugs people they've started on because they've tried cannabis and thought, well, these rules and regulations are a load of fucking crap. Maybe that drug isn't as dangerous, and they try that and they get hooked on it.
Yeah, I've always said
Opium being one of them. A lot of people who started smoking cannabis go onto opiums because they think the same. There's not the risk there, but there actually is with opiums. That they are highly addictive.
yeah, I mean, I think cannabis is a special one. You know, it does stand out. It is a plant that grows. You know, you don't have to do any
It has
fancy
some real
stuff with it.
beneficial healing properties.
Say that again?
It has some very beneficial healing properties.
Yeah. It's a great medicine. There's no toxins in it. You can't OD off it. Terence McKenna thinks for thousands of years humans lived in a symbiotic relationship with cannabis. Almost like, do you know what I mean? Symbiotic, sort of, you know, we almost evolved together with the plant and humans at the same time. But yeah, it's good stuff.
And the pure politics of the reasons why it's being kept illegal.
Well, everyone gets lazy, don't they?
Science.
Sorry, what did you say?
The policy, half the policies, what was set, the so-called war on drugs was set up because the governments wanted to marginalise and control certain minorities what are more prone to smoking it because it comes from their regions.
Right. That would give them the edge.
Yeah. Like, for instance, banning it in America, it was very, very communities because they'd come from Africa where it was legal and they did it, and it was as popular as drinking is here. If they turned drinking illegal over the night, they'd marginalise half of the British people because British people love booze.
Yeah.
So the politics, I think it's more about political control because it gives us an excuse for them to go and stop someone.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I think the police don't mind that a lot of the people are smoking dope because, you know.
A lot of the time, I think there's an underlying thing in the police force that they're like Denmark. The police turn a blind eye to it because they'd rather have you stoned with your mates in a field or in a house party somewhere, chilled out, than on the street, going to nightclubs, pissed out of your skull, having a fight with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, and smashing stuff up and being noisy and, yeah.
And they also don't, unless you're really blatant, rub it in their faces if you're smoking, I don't think they'd even notice a lot of the time.
Yeah. I think it purely does come down to the fact that, you know, because I think when we were growing up, there was still more violence around, which I've often wondered if it had to do with the lead in the petrol. But you know, we could get up. We would do criminal damage. I mean, and you know, fights obviously end up with people going to hospital, and you know, it's much better those people who sat around, had a few joints, had a good giggle.
It's why in some ways I do get a bit annoyed when people romanticize about the 80s and the 90s, and I just think back thinking, yeah, there was some good times, but there was a lot of messed up crap going down.
Yeah, there was.
Like, there was all the trouble with the IRA.
Yeah.
That I've also got my own points on about occupation. Is that the word?
But then again, at least they warned when they put a bomb.
We went in there occupied and tried to take control of their country.
This is still quite topical today because they're, you know, this thing, isn't it? It's like Extinction Rebellion. If you want people to hear you, you've got to do something which is either annoying. I mean, that's better than violent, but the suffragettes, they only got the attention because they smashed windows and set houses on fire. that gave them the attention. So
Yeah.
in a sense, we've got to work out a way. If we don't want people to be violent to get attention, we've got to give them the attention without them having to be violent.
A lot of the misunderstanding about the Black Lives Matters movement. You have that.
Well, there's two I've heard.
I'm personally for it.
The one with the capital letters or with the small letters?
The big letters.
I don't get which one's which. But
because I found on the day George died. I know we've gone way off the 5G subject here.
That's fine.
But we tend to do this when we have little night conversations.
This is an introduction, isn't it? Basically, so that's cool.
Yeah. So basically, what happened in America was that what that copper did to him was out of order, and to have the other three officers sit there while he's doing it, not watching what's going on, and stopping anyone else from protecting him. That there was no reason what they shouldn't have done that. Whether that was a white man, black man, regardless, that should not have happened.
Yeah,
that was a murder.
Sorry, what? I didn't realise there were three officers standing round.
Yeah, basically,
were they doing?
They killed him because he basically the copper what killed him has got a bad racism, and that's why it all kicked off. But the copper in his actions, in his responsibilities, he basically George had been accused of passing off a fake $20 runner, and the coppers then forced him to the ground, and one of them laid with his knee on the back of his neck and basically suffocated him to death.
Yeah, but I heard he'd just come from beating his wife.
I haven't heard
he was so nervous.
Any authentications of that.
Because it took him 5 minutes to get him out of the car? Have you seen that video?
Yeah, I can only go on what I've seen. What was when they stopped him in the street,
right?
Which if he had previously done anything before, I do not know about that.
Right,
because
regardless about what is true about George Lucas.
Go on what you see.
Yeah, and I heard that the kneeling on the neck was a way that a single police officer could restrain someone.
Yeah,
while
but there was three of
the cuffs on. But I didn't know. So if there's three of them standing around doing nothing, then I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, after the three of them standing around doing nothing, one local shouted, "You're killing him. He can't breathe."
Yeah.
He still could speak and say, "I can't breathe," but the assumption was made by the officer that because he could speak, he was still breathing.
Well, and he'd said, "I can't breathe" when he was still sitting in the car, refusing to get out. And anyway, like whatever happened.
The bit where he left the car, I can't comment on because I didn't see that bit. I saw the bit where they tried to stop him in the street. He ran across the road. And then from the officers' cameras, they showed that he didn't. He basically resisted a little bit because he was a big lad, big man, and they put him to the floor.
Yeah, he was a big guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but the main thing was the officer wasn't at all interested on what harm he was doing to him. He was almost celebrating the fact he was hurting him.
Right.
See. Yeah. From the previous history of the policeman, they worked him and George worked roughs over racist comments between each other.
Okay.
As they both worked as security guards.
So the racism issue in America is different.
Yeah, it's way different to this country, and a lot of people got offended when people online, for instance, were saying the ultimate thing was, well, so do every life, but they didn't understand that the point is in America the blacks are treated differently by the police. And that has got to change.
Yeah, more of them in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in America, that Black Lives Matter statement is one thing. When you say it over here, it's actually a racist statement. There's no
it's
quivering about it.
It's argumentative over here because there is the argument that a lot of the whites are like, well, white lives matter as well. But then there is still, even in our police force.
And what about Pakistanis? They'd be saying, Pakistanis' lives matter. And
quite rightfully they should be. if they're being targeted by the police service by institutional racism, they should stand up and say, yeah, our lives matter.
Yeah.
I posted a lot of posts, disabled lives matter, because one of the things I did find out was the statistics on disabled people and law enforcement in America. Quite a lot of disabled people have been shot, killed, or restrained in a way what's led to their death because of their mental health issues or their disabilities. The policemen have seen them as being on drugs rather than being disabled.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When I was younger, I got arrested and de-arrested 3 times in the street for doing nothing more than just being loud. Yeah. And that's because once I've had a drink, I've got a loud voice.
It is a huge subject, Greg, and I don't want to go into it more now because we'll be there all night. Is discrimination based on, what it is? It comes down to appearance mostly, doesn't it? You look at someone and you judge them for whatever reason.
Everybody has discrimination.
I mean, naturally you do. If you're going to say,
I'm ginger, I grew up with it.
yeah. If you're looking at that person over there, and if they've got something distinctive about them, that's different. That picks them out.
Yeah.
You're going to describe them that way because it's the quickest and easiest way to describe them. It's not because you're a racist or a bigot. It's just this is the easiest, quickest way I can tell this other person who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I've always been called things like carrot top, ginger, Duracell, all sorts of ginger jokes.
Ginger is another. Your DNA is different. You feel pain more than the rest of us.
Yeah,
you are.
Me and pain is a curious thing because it does. I don't feel it. I know that I don't feel it the same as other people because. When I'm in serious pain, I tend to not feel nothing.
You get to that, you've already crossed
the
wall.
I go to the numb stage where it's just completely blocked out. I had burst appendix and the doctors didn't believe it because they couldn't believe that I weren't screaming in agony. Thankfully, they decided to take my appendix out anyway, to which they burst on the operating table because they were that inflamed. Like I knew it hurt. I said that really hurts.
So you're not got your appendix anymore?
Because I didn't show the emotion.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
You haven't got any, so you can't take poison.
I don't know what the appendix actually.
I think they're there to absorb poisons.
To take out dirt.
Yeah, I think they're your defense against poison as well. They're probably multifunctional, as a lot of the organs are.
Yeah.
Right, Greg, what do you think? We either take a little break and come back, or would you like to do that?
It's if you want a break, I'm fine. I've got my drink.
I like to do it anyways. Like, good idea. So I'm just gonna put a little ad break. Hang on. It's not very smooth, is it? Right. We can talk. Even though they will hear us. Hang on, I'll tell you what I can do. Hang on. Right, I think now. Oh no, they probably can still hear. See, we're just learning, Greg. There's no problem learning. If you talk now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Right, you probably can. How do you think this is going, alright?
Yeah, not bad. I don't know whether I'm rambling a bit.
Alright, we'll do another 10 minutes and then we'll wrap it up. It's the place to go, right? Get rid of the ads. Yeah, free speech right now.
Yeah, it's strange how the subjects go.
Right, we're back with Greg and me solving the world. Well, not solving it at all.
One little change
we haven't
at a
even
time.
got over to the biggest problem, the health of the planet. The food.
The food.
The food's running out.
Mm. It's curious to what will happen with food. Is it actually running out, or is it just not being managed correctly?
I think
Because
it is
you
actually.
you go into a supermarket, you see shelves and shelves and shelves of food, but how much of that food ends up in waste or ends up not getting eaten?
Yeah, what you're going to do, you're always going to have some waste.
Yeah,
That's
I
not going
think
to.
food. I think food, and definitely food poverty
So you're
is
not
a
aware.
man-made.
You're not aware of the phosphate problem then. Phosphate's
Uh,
running out, and they don't know where to get any more.
well, one of the things what we with phosphates is the way they're used.
Well, we need them to grow
Because,
food because our
yeah,
soils are
and
so crap.
also don't they use it to preserve foods as well?
No, it's not a
I might think so.
preservative. You're probably thinking of salt, sodium
No,
chloride.
there's a gas they put in to take. There's a gas they put into the bags of vegetables and things to
Vacuum,
maintain their freshness.
don't they vacuum,
Yeah,
take
they
the air
vacuum and
out?
inject something else in.
You might be right, Greg. There might be a gas they put in there. It could be related to phosphate. But what phosphate is
It
um,
might be sulfates I'm thinking of.
sulfates, more likely. Um, the phosphate is in every cell, every bit of DNA, and it's the bits that hold the DNA bits together. So everything needs phosphates to grow. You like your drinking your Coca-Cola, it's got phosphates in it. I don't know about if the cheap stuff has. Should have phosphoric acid.
It was sulfate I was thinking of. It's got sulfate in it.
Have you got phosphoric acid?
Phosphoric acid. Yeah, it has got phosphoric acid.
And that's the main ingredient in Coca-Cola. So it's quite an expensive ingredient.
Yeah,
And
well that's cheap. That's cheap cola, so it's probably not got. It's more water than anything because it's quite weak.
yeah, and when the
One of the reasons
gardener
I drink
when the gardener composts his leaves and things, what you're getting is the phosphates, putting them back in the ground, and that helps things grow. So, but if you want to mine it, which obviously this Western world likes to do, there's 85% of it is in Morocco,
Yeah,
and we'll be out of it in about 40 years. There'll be none left to mine. The farmers, so the farmers are saying, because of this dependence on it, that we've got 40 or 50 years more growing, and they can't find it anywhere else. Can't find it on
it's
Mars.
interesting.
Can't find it on the moon. They can't mine more of it.
It's something where it's something I've not fully.
You've not looked into.
Haven't
You've not heard
got
about
knowledge
this,
of
obviously.
to comment on that one.
Yeah. So it's homework for next time.
One of the main reasons that things like that are running out is because basically humans have interfered with the natural world. Because
Yeah.
it comes anything what's involved in the reproduction of genes, we don't understand fully. We know where our reproductions come from because we have the organs, but we don't know how they generate new cells and how they generate a cell in such a way that it keeps reproducing to such volume to generate another human.
Yeah.
So does phosphate get regenerated?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it does. It doesn't go away. That which is on the earth will stay on the earth. So
Because we've currently got massive parts of the earth where we've got no life.
well, and we've got some bits where we've got too much, like the field runoff goes into the sea, yeah, and it's too rich. Well, it's very rich, and the algae eats it, yeah, and we get these
Yeah,
algae blooms, and sometimes they're
yeah,
toxic, and if the fish eat them when they're toxic, then they'll die. So
yeah.
you've got
You're thinking more where we've ruined our local natural world around the outside.
we're losing all the nutrients into the sea,
Yeah,
yeah, because of ploughing
it'll
and.
get eaten away and buried somewhere else in the world.
I mean, they still plough down a hill instead of ploughing across the hill so that it retains some of the runoff, you know? They'll still go and...
I think you're right about that, because the tractors do tend to do that rather than go crosswise.
Yeah.
I wonder whether there's a financial implication for ploughing, how you say, to the way they do it.
I don't know. It's odd. Maybe they're worried the tractor will tip over.
Yeah, maybe it could be a health and safety thing like that, because like a forklift, it can have a high.
Well, if you're the farmer and it's
have a high center of gravity.
If you're the farmer and it's your tractor, it's your way of getting home, isn't it? As well.
You'll do it in the way you're comfortable, really.
Yeah. But they should make steps like they do in China.
Yeah.
Maybe. On steep hills.
Yeah, they managed to catch quite a lot of the rainfall and recycle it into paddy fields, didn't they?
And really, they shouldn't farm right next to the rivers either. If they had to leave a gap of, say, 20 meters of just natural growth, that would stop a lot of that runoff into the river.
Well, that's why it's one, which is a misdemeanor, but you find a lot of landowners do, is if they've got some sort of natural reserve, it's beneficial to go and trash it in some way. There was one farmer who was done recently because he had basically dug a 3.5 mile stretch of land going along the river and basically killed everything in the river, because he just turned it into a concrete channel. Good. And the environmental agency then prosecuted him.
Terrible. I tell you this, the more I see of what we do to the planet, and the more I see of what we should do, a lot of the answers are do nothing, leave it alone. And I think humans find that really hard. Yeah.
It's like people say, well, the world's short on water. Everywhere you hear it, water out this. You mustn't use the shower between this time and that time because there's a water drought on. Well, garden hose, for instance. Every year we have a garden hose thing, which for this country of our size, and the fact that we're surrounded by so much water on each side, why have we failed as man to capitalise on the free supply of water?
It shows some mismanagement there. If we can't, with the amount of water
all we've learned to do is dump our waste in the outer water.
Yeah, it's probably because we have so much of it, though, that we can be wasteful with it. If we were in Egypt, we'd treat it more preciously.
Well, the question is, if the world's 2/3 water, that means for every metre of land, you should have two meters of water.
Yeah.
2 meters of water is a volume. Oh, jeez, that's without a calculator. I'm not 100% sure because I can't remember how to calculate it out off the top of my head. But it's got to be a good couple of 100 liters, maybe 1,000 liters in a square meter.
Cubed. You're talking cubed.
In a cubed, yeah. Cubed volume. I think it's.
Well, what would you do? 2 times 2 times 2.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, you'd do that, and then that'd tell you the volume. Then you'd have. But basically, we would have on volume. We'd have 2 times the amount of water we've got land.
Yeah.
So really, we should have a land shortage rather than a water shortage.
Yeah.
It's just because we've not managed.
It's full of salt.
We've not managed to help each other manage the waters.
But it's salty water you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the salt water can be refined through things what are naturally found in this world, like Rockies.
Like what?
Like the Rockies in America at the bottom, they're going to be well filtered because the water's run down on the natural berths, and they've been filtered by the natural river.
So it gets the salt out.
Yeah. It's only because of arguments of cost why we haven't aggregated all the desert. Like the desert has got a potential of taking away all our energy costs for the world. If we made a big section of the central desert, say, I don't know, 100 miles worth of solar panels, that would be an infinite power. So eventually it would recover its cost.
Well,
But no one's willing to invest in green technologies.
Instead, we've got more places turning into desert.
Yeah, because more places are going to the easy route, the quick money route, rather than the longevity of man. That's one of the reasons I have a dislike to money. It's pretty simple. It's one of the evils in the world. People rate each other on how much money they've got, and because they rate like that, they're in the instant thing to try and get the quickest money they can. And unfortunately, that's crap for the environment, because rather than growing, say, trees in like planted, organised, regulated trees, what are renewable. So when they cut them down, like in Gloucester, they've got a few places where they cut down the Christmas trees. Each year they replant new ones for the next year. But people don't invest in that because that's a very slow turnover compared to going over to a place where they grow naturally and cutting down half a dozen wild trees, which have then gone for good and gone forever. And that's why the world is slowly getting more and more less green and there's no forests remaining.
And they're cutting down the trees which take longest to grow back.
Yeah, they're cutting down the wild trees, the ones that have been there hundreds of years and take hundreds of years to grow, rather than farming them, because farming them doesn't have the return what's required.
And you're right, the cause is greed.
Yeah, it's greed. It's greed of money.
And it's done kind of by accident. It's because these people who just want more money don't really fully understand what they're doing.
And the implications of it.
Yeah. So a crime of ignorance.
Yeah, man's very ignorant. And considering we've now got the technology where we can contact and near enough talk to anybody in the world right now.
Yeah.
We can find out information faster than any generation's ever been able to find out information.
Unless Facebook have deemed it non.
Yeah, the less said about Facebook censorship is.
But yeah,
it's a strong subject. They banned me twice this month.
We have certainly had that opportunity, and we still can seek out knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
And we also know what is portrayed in the press is an over glamorized state of affairs. So, for instance, for instance, one of the reasons they can, I think personally, some of the papers generate race hate, because when they show stories, they will do stuff like if they're in a minority, they'll target that minority a lot heavier. They'll highlight the fact that they belong to that minority and they're not normal people. They do that quite often. Right.
Oh yeah, but what were you saying before that?
Well, when they do that, a lot of the time we originally had with Facebook when it first started, we had a generation of it where it was really, really good because there was freedom of speech.
Yeah.
People could say, well, what you've been told by your governments is bollocks, because that's not what it's like in this country. It's completely different.
Yeah. No, and that's what I was going to say. Because we've been able to get this knowledge, we have been able to. I would say that's why so many more people are awakening to the truth of the world that we live in, and that is why
we're being run by tyrants.
Huh?
And what's
run by tyrants? Yeah.
They've got people working for them. They've got people serving them, keeping them good, looking after their health. If you're in America and you've got money, you're above the average Joe, because the average Joe hasn't got money, hasn't got healthcare, hasn't got all sorts of things in America.
I still think they get done over, but the ones a bit further up the ladder keep the ones lower down the ladder motivated.
Believing if they succeed, if they try, they will succeed.
Yeah.
They give them a bit every so often, so they think they've succeeded.
Yeah. Work hard like me.
They manipulate the middle classes into believing that they're upper class.
Yeah.
And giving them the support. While what they really should be doing is supporting the underdogs, because the underdogs, as they move up, they've got no option but to push you higher.
Well, they should just give everyone an equal start, but like again, it's like this authority. Who gives them the authority to hand out? I suppose they're the ones who've got the power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like at the moment, one of my issues is with face masks because I can't wear one because it has I have mental disabilities, so it
Your
affects
issues with it.
my
Yeah.
persona.
I hate them.
I can't communicate when I'm in a mask,
No.
and I also struggle to. I find it very intimidating talking to people in masks. That I can mask and hide, but wearing my mask myself, I can't because it's like having fire on my face.
Yeah. And you'd be
But
told,
the
"Oh,
government,
get over it. You know, man up. Just put one on and shut up," sort of thing. Like.
yeah, well, that's
Treat
what
it
I'm
like
getting
that.
from a lot of quarters. And the government haven't assisted that in any way, shape, or form. They've been quite discriminating because while they put exemptions, they've put them so small in the fine print of all the regulations that half the people don't know what their actual rights are.
Yeah, and the
And
missing.
the fact that I'm not breaking the law if I'm not wearing a mask because I am exempt legally by the regulations,
Yeah.
but I'm still getting hassle from people when I go shopping.
Yeah.
I get stares, I get all sorts of looks and things
Yeah.
now, which before I wouldn't have got, and it's purely because I'm not wearing a mask. And also another thing what's happened since they brought in the masks is now people don't respect my 2 meters distance when I'm shopping. Where before people would hang back, they just walk by me and push by me.
Yeah.
Like I've had 2 or 3 people bump my shoulder in masks. And you shouldn't be that close in a pandemic. So I think the government on doing that, they've missed the information they've put out is ignorant. And because they've done that, they've mislaid faith into masks being the cure. Now, as my opinion is, and your opinion is, nature is the best cure.
Yeah.
The mask is not natural to have a mask on. It's
No, we've
restricting
already
our
got
way.
We've already got a beard. I mean, that's half a
Yeah.
mask.
Well, there is some history and pharmaceutical trial. No, what's the word I'm thinking of? The trials the doctors do when they're experimenting with things. I can't remember what they call them. Well, anyway, when they done that, they did do one of beards, and apparently, if you've got a beard, you're less likely to suffer from hay fever because your beard will catch more of the pollen in the air than what you'll inhale.
Yeah, and the moustache.
So that was quite interesting. I must admit, that last summer I did not get hay fever.
The first time.
Yeah, because I've grown it.
Bloody hell, it grew quick.
And also, I've probably saved myself getting someone's bacteria in my face, having it cut by anybody.
Yeah.
Because when you have your hair done, you're in close proximity to someone's head.
Yeah.
Because they're getting in there fine, looking really closely and making sure they cut the hair properly.
Yeah, I think almost every measure they've done with COVID, I'm against. I think every measure isn't good for us, including the social distancing. I'm going to be talking about that as well, the effect that has on our hormones.
Yeah.
You know, contact with people, even if it's not fully touching, you know, bit closer environment actually stimulates hormones. We are these beings, we are.
Yeah.
So them telling us to stay away from each other is actually not healthy.
Yeah, there's long-standing safety in numbers. It's a long-standing rule. There's been safety in numbers. Yes, the risk of viral transfer is higher in numbers, but there's also higher immune systems in numbers.
Yeah, the virus is going to get around anyway, and usually the virus has already got around before you've even noticed, and then by the time you make a vaccine, it's far too late.
I think the first surge in cases was generally caused by panic buying, because everybody knew there was a lockdown coming. Everybody went out and they panic buyed. Thousands of people went and mingled with each other in supermarkets when otherwise they wouldn't have contact with each other. And it spread like wildfire, and that's why we had so many severe rates of death, because we also had a massive.
They weren't even.
Yeah, we don't know the infection rate, because at that point there was no testing going on. But I'm.
And they attributed a COVID death to everything.
I think most people at that point had it. In a lot of areas, I reckon a good 50% of the country probably had it from panic buying and going all to the same supermarket, because the
Well,
same big businesses to get their stuff.
yeah,
And we were all in lockdown, so we were apart. There was no testing going on, but there was loads of people dying.
definitely.
But then that's going to happen if the infection rate goes up. Unfortunately, there
The
is going to be
first-
people
The
underlying conditions going to die.
probably even before Christmas, maybe even as early as
Yeah.
September, October. So
But
it was travelling
it's like my
around
sister.
everyone then before we even knew.
She'd been isolating for months, and then she found out one of her next door neighbours had had it. And they were isolating for months as well, so they must have been infected before the lockdown.
Yeah. Right.
Or they'd been somewhere in lockdown where they'd caught it. So the lockdown hadn't worked, because a lot of people, like myself, I can't lock down, because if I don't lock down, I have got no support network.
No, that's
Because
it.
I live on my own.
We got to go to
I
the
have to go and
shops.
get food.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, you've got to survive.
live.
Right,
So I
Greg.
have to go shopping.
Any
I
closing?
have to get stock, reserves, or whatever I need.
Sorry. Any closing words, Greg? We're going to wrap this up
No.
for now.
Yeah. Gone through a few subjects.
No, we have.
That's what,
And we can do that every time. It's not a problem. And eventually, we'll have covered everything then, won't we?
yeah. Yeah. If you send me some key subjects, obviously I can get more.
Anyway, don't go
Yes.
away. I'll stop recording. So we'll say goodbye to the one or two viewers who might view this. Goodbye. And then hang on there, Greg, and then we'll finish up. And we are back. Hopefully, just check everything's still going. And we're back here. Bring things back to how they were. Right, just gonna have a little bit of attempt at some fun. Let's see. I find it fun anyway. Back to this normalness. Right, so we'd like to do a little summing up. The immune system is a vital for our survival, and you want to have the best immune system possible that you can pass on. You can even help people around you. A good, healthy floral bacteria on your skin and in your gut and in your poo. And yes, you're farting. You are emanating your bacteria